In today's video, I want to share with you some awesome tips in improving your audio with your video. And later on in the video, I'm going to give some samples of what each type of microphone sounds like. So if that sounds interesting to you, come on! Let's pull you into the video. Now, some different forms of microphones you could use for your camera or phone would be the internal microphone of that device, which is a great place to start. And if you've got a really good phone or half decent camera, the internal microphone will be perfectly fine, especially if you're recording indoors. And like I said earlier, I will show you some examples or let you hear some examples more specifically of these different things. Now, some of the things I'll think about is something called a shotgun microphone. I'm using one in a minute to record the audio at the moment, but this is my little sample for you. It's a little shotgun microphone. I'm actually using a Rode microphone. I'll try and maybe put a picture up for you so you can see what it looks like. And that just connects, as long as you've got a microphone jack on your camera or phone, that just connects to your camera and will massively improve the audio, especially if you're recording indoors or outdoors. And something to bear in mind, you might want one of these little wind foam things, especially if you're recording outside, because you don't want that annoying noise, which is really annoying when you think you're doing this cool bit of filming outdoors and the wind is blowing, and that's something I'm always battling with. And a little power tip I've actually seen people use, big creators even, some people even use socks, which is quite funny. So I might do that for the thumbnail. Anyway, so that's something to recommend. Obviously, with these cheaper ones, these cost about £20 or so, or dollars, and they do have sort of on and off switch. Sometimes they need batteries. Just bear in mind whatever battery you prefer if you do get one of these sort of little ones, and these are perfectly fine to start off with. Obviously, if you get a Rode mic, they do cost more. And what's really cool about the Rode mic I use at the moment is it doesn't require any battery. It just takes its power straight from the camera, which is actually quite nifty. So that's something to also bear in mind when you're looking at shotgun microphones. And just bear in mind, you don't want to go any further away than about sort of 3 feet, otherwise the audio tends to drop down and you might want to look at something else. Now, something else you might want to look at, I apologise for the mess, the wire nest that this has became. And I did think about untangling it, but I thought it'd probably take me 2 hours. But basically, like you see in the studios, it's called a rappel microphone, or I just like to call it clip-on microphone. And you can just connect these to your sort of top or whatever, and it produces quite nice audio, which I'll give a sample of that later. And obviously they cost more, but you might, looking at this now, you might want to look at a wireless one. They cost about £100 or so, and then you can get some really good devices for your camera and phone. That's something I'm massively, and at Rode again, just some really good ones. Something I might do down the road, but I have used this over the years. And a little power to actually, if you do have a cable, because they are much cheap and get these for about £10-20 and you massively improve the audio, is I sometimes just clip these to a second tripod out of shot, and it can improve the audio. So that's something. And obviously, if you're recording outside, you might want to connect a little windbreak onto it, or put something soft or a bit of sponge over it or something, just to break that wind noise if it is a windy day. And you'll be quite surprised, even when you think there's no wind, the microphones do pick up everything. Or I suppose a third or fourth tip, something I wouldn't overly recommend unless you don't mind messing around with it and editing, is you could get a separate microphone, something like a Zoom H1N. I'll see if I can get this in shot for you. So I'm going to get it in. Here it is in all its glory. The Zoom H1N microphone from Zoom. Absolutely brilliant microphone. I use this, it's actually a dictaphone I use for recording long recorded live videos or live streaming. And this produces really nice audio. And this costs about anywhere between £70 to £100 or dollars. And obviously, if you want to record that separate from your phone or camera, then you can sort of delete the bad audio and sort of edit in the good audio from this. It's a bit more work, but it's, as something else. If you haven't got a mic jack, that's something else to think about. So yeah, there's lots of things to think about. If you're enjoying what I'm doing so far, I'm Dave from TVR Creators, and I make weekly content on the best cameras for hobbyists or just people starting out and just want to find out what is the best camera for them. If that sounds interesting, you don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, do not go anywhere, because in a moment I'm going to show you some examples of the audio that you can produce. Now, at the moment, let's start with a shotgun microphone, which I'm using at the moment. I'm using the Rode microphone, the first one. And the audio it's producing now is what it's producing, and as you can see, as you go further away, you know, it's still pretty good to be fair. And if I go right back over here, you can sort of still hear it, and that's sort of the audio that it produces. Let's see what the clip-on mic has to say for itself. So I'm now using the clip-on or lapel mic, as some people like to call it, and as you can hear, or hopefully hear, the sound quality is really nice. Obviously you can clip it on to your top. Just bear in mind what position you use. I've in the past have used a second tripod, and as you can hear, I think it produces really good audio. When you think these only cost like 10, 20 pounds or dollars, they produce really nice audio, and this is what it sounds like. I think it's a really nice little audio sound, and it's a cheap way to improve your audio easily and simply. Got rid of that nest of cables. Oh, absolutely mess. I need to get a wireless microphone. But the audio you're hearing now, I hope you're enjoying this journey. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you get value from today's video, please feel free to buy us a coffee. Link to that and everything we use in the description below. Now, the audio that I'm using at the moment is directly from the camera. I'm using an M50 at the moment, and it's producing some really nice audio, and it's perfectly fine for recording indoors, as I just whack my elbow on the table. But it's, you know, it's perfectly fine, isn't it, when you're recording indoors and that sort of thing. But just bear in mind, if you're outside, if it's a bit windy, it might not be the best. It's not something to, you know, but if you're, you know, just starting out, it might be perfectly fine. But if you're recording indoors, as you can probably hear, it's perfectly fine for what you might want to begin with. A little bit of singing then. So we're now back at the shotgun microphone where we sort of started out in the samples, and feel free, question of the day then. Which microphone would you use, or which you prefer the sound quality of? I'd just be interested to know what your comments are on that. So we're back with the shotgun microphone now, the one I tend to use, just because it's easier for me, because I don't tend to be much further away than this with my camera. But it does depend on the situation, what you're using. Any sort of power tips, if you're using one with batteries, just bear in mind the battery might go halfway through recording, or make sure you have a spare battery, or make sure it's fully, you know, it's a new battery or fully charged battery or whatever. If you're using a microphone like mine, bear in mind you don't need a battery. So there's all these little things to consider when you're getting your microphone. I hope this video is helpful, and in a moment I'm going to leave you 2 end cards, probably you can see now, that are going to bring you even more value. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, a little secret, you guys rock.